everyone. My name is Haloran, and it's my pleasure to have a chance to sit down and chat with one of the Five Musketeers. Necromongerz, how are you doing tonight?
I'm quite well, quite well. Thank you so much, and thank you for asking. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you. Really, a big thank you. We've seen you around in the scene for a while. I've seen your body of work, and have always been impressed when I see you doing your thing in the HeroesHype Tempo Storm Series. I'm not at all surprised to find the Five Musketeers is they're in the top three, right? You guys number 3 seed.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. For those who may not be familiar, you want to give us a little bit of background on yourself, your team, how long you've been in the hero scene, stuff like that.
Of course, yeah. So we originally started as Firm Handshake. You might have seen some of the members of our team starting off at Firm Handshake. The inception of that team was basically to try and qualify for HEC Open. Then things got a little rough. We ran out of substitutions. Basically decided to drop the team, and we didn't feel like using the same name, so that's why we got the name changed to Five Musketeers. 2 core members are still in here, Steves and myself, and yeah, now we have a new squad, and we just wanted to keep practicing, so that's why we're doing HeroesHype.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the concept of rebuilding a team. I always commend that effort because what that says to me is that there's a lot of passion and drive to be a competitive Heroes of the Storm player. A lesser interested person might see that as too much of a setback and decide, to step away or to take a more relaxed approach. When you and Steve started rebuilding the roster, what were some of the things you guys said to yourself to maintain that drive and commitment?
Both of us knew that we just wanted to keep practicing because we sort of have a long-term goal where we're playing to improve. We will try, well, my goal again is to try for HEC Open in the next phase. So we just want to keep practicing, and that was our main goal when we went to rebuilding a roster.
Well, I mean, I would say your new roster has definitely found some success. There are no slouches in this go-round of HeroesHype Tempo Storm Series. So to make it the top 3 with 3 new members is an accomplishment in and of itself. You specifically, you play the assassin role, right?
Correct. That's correct. The ranged assassin flex.
I really like the idea that, you said one of your personal goals is to improve. I think sometimes there can be a more relaxed, hands-off approach to playing competitive Heroes of the Storm. It's like, hey, I show up, I play scrims and stuff like that. What specific aspects of the assassin role interested you when you first walked into the Heroes of the Storm competitive scene, and what are some of the more finer things you look to work on?
The reason why I was attracted to the assassin role was before I started Heroes of the Storm, I used to play a little bit of League of Legends, and I used to play the mid role. Which was basically an assassin type role with I would focus on mages, and so I translated that over into Heroes of the Storm, trying to focus on mages, on the ranged assassins, and then things I'm trying to improve on, I believe was the second part, was a consistency. I want to build a consistent gameplay no matter which hero I'm on, and just always performing under any circumstances that show up.
Nice. Now you mentioned you've played League of Legends. How far back has your passion with competitive gaming or gaming at all? Like, how far back does that go? What are some other games you've played?
So for League of Legends, it was I never intended. Well, I never tried the competitive aspect. It was only once I started Heroes of the Storm where I found, okay, I can climb into the GM leaderboards, where I saw, okay, I actually have potential in this. So that's where the competitive drive grew, was when I saw that, okay, I might have a chance at this.
Cool. I mean, from what we've seen in your play, I definitely feel that you do. I'm really glad that you're here and continuing to work on improvement. Some of the viewers, while the name Five Musketeers might be new, we actually saw you in the finals week 4, if memory serves.
Believe so.
My memory is rough around the edges about stuff like that, but I definitely remember you making some upsets and stuff. But then they're like, oh, you guys were Firm Handshake. It definitely adds a lot of context and makes sense. But we do have some pretty established teams in the top 8 this series. Team Numerics, a team that was in the top 4 of the Open division just now. Definitely starting to make a name for themselves. I guess the question I have for you is, some might see your role as third seed going into this as something of an underdog. How have you prepared for some of these more known teams that have made a prominent stand? And like, how do you feel about going up against them?
I definitely like being known as the underdog because then any upset will just seem that much better. The way we've gone about it against, to try and compete with some of these teams is we're constantly scrimming. We're scrimming the teams you just mentioned, Numerics, and we're trying to build our own style, our own gameplay instead of, adhering to what some of the other teams are drafting. Or we want to build what we're strong at, what we're good at, and I think just with constant practice and scrimming, we might put on a good show.
I think you will. Now, you've done a consistent amount of scrimming. You faced a range of teams over the 5 weeks of HeroesHype Tempo Storm Series 3. And you mentioned that, one of the things you want to try to do as a team is innovate. Would you say that there's a sense of stagnation in the current meta in the amateur scene, and you find yourself to be more of an outlier, like looking to shake things up a bit? Or have you found other teams try to find their own identity as well?
I feel like there's a very defined meta right now, and a lot of the teams are playing it, but it's for a reason because it works. And so we're trying to, fit into the current meta, but also figuring out ways to beat it. Because if that's what everyone's drafting, we want to be able to outperform the current meta. And so it's always, in scrims, it's just current trial and error in drafts. We lose, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but we're constantly learning from our mistakes.
That's a really cool perspective. As a senior member of this core roster, I think there's a lot of leadership that falls on your shoulders to maintain a sense of consistency. You go through one of these scrims, you have one of these trial and error instances, and you try a different style of composition, and it doesn't work out very well at all. I've seen teams really struggle with lulls and low periods over scrims and things like that. How have you guys as a team pulled back together after any of those setbacks and scrims and maintained your focus on a long-term goal?
I think the biggest thing that helps with us is at the end of the day, we're actually all just really close friends. And so we remind ourselves, because it can be tilting, right? As you said, trying out and it's not working. And maybe we feel like we're playing against a team that we should win. But, when we hop on the next day, ready for the scrims, we're just a bunch of friends that, hey, it's okay. Whatever happened yesterday is yesterday. Let's focus on today. Let's focus on the goal we set that we want to, try to achieve for this set of scrims.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's what helps the most is being friendly with each other.
Now, we just had a very exciting conclusion to the Open Division playoffs. We talked about that a little bit. How does seeing there are teams out there like HeroesHype that have been for a long time in the amateur scene kind of destined for the crucible. And I would say they ran into some pitfalls going there. Important Support, a team that definitely is no stranger to HeroesHype Tempo Storm Series, managed to actually beat them and make their way into the winners, the grand finals ahead of HeroesHype. How do moments like that affect you as an aspiring amateur player? Like, does it give you more drive? You're like, hey, that could be me too if I just put in the hard work. Like, how is that an inspiration for you?
For me, from what I noticed, it felt the set that the imported one against HeroesHype, I felt like they were more prepared. And then we saw, I think the next day where HeroesHype, took it back, beat them 3-1. They showed up ready to win. So I think that's what I take away from seeing something like that. That if you do the work, you prepare for the match. All the teams can make mistakes. All the teams sometimes might look to you that you're the underdog, might not prepare as well. So there's always that, that chance of hope almost, that if you do the work, just day in, day out, prepare, you have the chance to take some of the games off of these teams.
I really admire that, man. That dedication and that hard work and commitment, because I 100% agree. I think the amateur scene is a lot deeper as far as its viable talent than some may think. And mindsets like that are how we prove that theory right. If I'm a viewer and I go into the finals, I'm not sure exactly who I'm rooting for. What's your proverbial, sales pitch to make me a fan of the Five Musketeers? Like why should we cheer for you guys?
That's you're asking one of the hard questions, man. Reason why you should cheer for us. We've been in the scene quite a while. We're not going to give up. You're going to see us in the future. So I think that's one of the reasons you're going to be seeing a lot from us. So expect some hopefully big things in the future.
Workhorses, stalwarts of consistency. I know, I respect that a lot, man. Thanks a lot. I think that's all those are the main things I really wanted to go over. I like I said, I've seen you guys in the scene. You and D Steve's in the scene for a long time. I've always been impressed anytime I got to see Firm Handshake. Once I saw who was on Five Musketeers, I was like, okay, I get it. It was really cool to sit down and talk with you and get in your head a little bit and understand how you approach competitive Heroes of the Storm. And I think you have the right mindset for greatness, man. I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys show up. I guess the last question I have is, are you feeling any sense of pressure or intimidation going into the finals? Or are you, like you said, are you just focused on preparing for the moment?
I don't think we have that much pressure going into it. We're mainly just going to try to show up and play our best, and what happens from there. Of course, we would love to win. That's always the goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we feel that much pressure right now. So I guess that's a good thing for us. And I just want to say I do appreciate you taking the time for doing this as well. I think you're awesome. Been wanting to have a nice little chat with you for a while. So yeah.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys show up. Looking forward to big things coming from you, Necromongerz. That's it for me. I'm looking forward. I'm excited to see it.